Hello and welcome back to my channel, and today we're taking a look at Moon Mystery. Now this game actually launched in October 2024 and it's a space exploration game, kind of like with a puzzle, a little bit of combat and overall just adventure title. Now let's talk about the requirements. The minimum GPU they want you to have is an NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti with the minimum CPU being a quad-core 3 GHz CPU, which roughly translates to around Intel i5 84000, or if you're going for recommended specs, you need at least a hexa-core 3.5 GHz, which roughly translates to an i5 96K, so anything with 6 cores, or even higher, so i7 8700K, which is an 8-core CPU, and RTX 2060 if you wanna get the best eye candy possible. So let's look at the settings we're going to be playing this game with. We're going with the quality preset on high, with a slight change for view distance. I've set it to epic. As per preset, it's actually set on high, but obviously we're maxing this game out. Everything else is cranked up. For everything else, which is the display, we're going with the 2K native resolution. Vertical sync is off. Vertical sync and maximum frame rate has been disabled in NVIDIA control panel, just for benefit of the doubt, really, because you can see on the loading screen it does seem to be kind of capped to 144 frames, which is my monitor's refresh rate, so we'll see if that actually takes place. FOV, or field of view, is cranked to 110, which I believe is a little bit better for space exploration considering how much we need to see around ourselves, but probably this will need to be cranked up all the way, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, as you know, we're running this game with an i9 99K and 4070 Ti, 32 gigs of DDR4, and I think that's pretty much all there is to it. So let's start the new game. Obviously cookie difficulty, and yeah, MSI is on the right hand side, slightly bigger than usual because the game might actually be a bit different from everything else. So let's see how this works out for us.
The black hole is getting closer. What the hell is happening?
Okay, so first and foremost, this game was made by the same people that made Fort of Solace, which was a visual adventure storytelling game rather than, you know, like a full-blown sandbox experience, so I'm not expecting anything different. So far within the actual game we're pulling 7 gigs of video memory allocated. CPU usage is kind of all over the place. You can see that only certain cores are being engaged, so I can literally see about 4 at any given time. We're pulling 8.5 gigs of RAM and we're at 144 frames. So let's see how it goes. Now the game does not have any DLSS or FSR options, and it's very similar, I would want to say, to the game that launched before, which is a story novel as well. Actually escaped my mind when I wanted to name it, but yeah, essentially I did not expect to have combat this early in the game. Okay, here we are. So yeah, GPU usage 42%, so I cannot really say that this game is pulling all the resources available to it. Considering the recommended GPU is a 2060, I would expect things to actually be a bit more better, so let's see. Okay, and we do have some combat in here. The combat is not the most fluid because of the weapon inertia. It kinda hicks up. You can see it on the graph when you try to quickly flip somewhere. The frame time kind of spikes up a little bit, which I wouldn't want to say is ideal for anything that should be fast-paced and first person, but overall I guess, you know, it is kind of survivable when you think about it. And this is a game where you should be exploring every nook and cranny, so running through this first segment is a bit weird. Also, the game literally just pointed me to the ground. That wasn't me moving my mouse at all. So I don't know. Also going up a bit. Not sure I'm too happy about the game's they're kind of trying to implement the FPS aspect in this, but honestly it does not feel like FPS at all. And the way that you can see, the moment the game hicks up, you end up in a different position, I mean in terms of aiming to a different direction, which is a bit odd. I don't think if this is gonna be an issue down the line, but so far I cannot really say that I am too impressed about it. But then again, you know, let's see how this goes further on. If you're aiming one direction and suddenly you are aiming completely opposite direction of them, an enemy, without any input from your side, I would want to say that is rather worrying, rather than, you know, like something you would look forward to. Oh, these things are mad at me as well. Okay. No idea about the ammo count or what's going on. The recoil can be manageable, or can be managed if you actually pay attention to it. But yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just the level loading that's taking place, but overall system performance is not exactly breaking a sweat, so I don't know. You know, I'm not gonna point fingers here, but graphically the game kinda looks acceptable. But I'm not too sure what I was expecting from it. From the screenshot, it did look like a very graphically enhanced title when it comes to it for the full immersion.
It's the blue material.
But so far it's just a bit odd experience, if you don't mind me saying so. I'm not saying it's bad, but considering the game was due to be an early access title back in October, and we're in pretty much New Year just now, maybe it's still going through the last development cycles of, you know, like performance patches and, you know, bug fixing, which I wouldn't be too surprised of. Like, we do have, okay, this weird thing you can see on the frame graph. I literally just went into the wall while going up the stair. We do have some games that are very similar to this, which is Deliver Us from Moon and Deliver Us from or to Mars, which you might confuse this game with, but at the same time it's not exactly the case. This is an independent title just coming in hot, and I would expect some technical challenges when it comes to it, considering the game itself and the development cycle. But yeah, I mean, going straight and then suddenly the camera flicks with your character facing another direction is something I would not really expect from a game when it comes to it.
No, it's the only way out.
At least they throw in some actual science stuff, which is the approximate speed of light.
Your night charts were running wild. Bad dreams again?
Yeah, same. Any good news today, Toby?
I've been trying to reach the Earth base, but I failed again. I'll keep trying.
I've been having a repetitive day every day for a week now. Time for daily. My name is Sam Walker, and it's the 7th day since I lost contact with the Earth base. The escort team was planned to come and get me precisely a week ago, yet there's no spacecraft visible on the radar. The connection's still broken. If I only knew Rocky's safe and getting better, but all I can do now is just wait. I wish I was somewhere else.
Now, I do have to mention that this game did have a demo
playing a
available
ball
back
game,
in the day
Sam?
before it went to pre-release stage. And back in the day, I did try this game with an i5 96K and 3070 Ti in 4K and Full HD. And it was not reaching anywhere near 144 frames at any given time. It was more about hardly limping around 45, 50. Which could be, a combination of both CPU and resolution issue for the game engine. However, I must say that currently the game looks pretty much the same. So it kind of looks like there's been some performance adjustments within the game engine itself. It does look very similar, very basic for what you would expect from an actual game. But it is how it is. I think we had to go and speak with this guy or something here. I'll just have a look around.
Hey, wanna play, Toby?
Success!
Yeah, those
Told you I was easy on you. I like this game. Well, we... Ready when you are. You were just lucky.
best of 5. We need to make this count.
It's not meant to be. Still in the game. Lesson learned. I'll catch up.
Okay, last one. And we lost.
Will we play again, Sam?
Okay, we're not playing again.
Hey, Toby. If by any chance the software in that old base nearby keeps working, we could try retrieving the connection with Earth from there. I wish I could tell.
I strongly advise against. We still don't know what was the cause of Rocky's poor condition after his visit here. It's too risky.
I hate it when you're right.
Need to explore
Sam,
the area.
the power supply is failing. Something must be wrong with the generator.
I'll go and check.
And yeah, the game just kept me back to the direction of what is
I'm
wrong.
still getting used to these
Outside of
sudden
that, as you can
gravity
see,
changes.
graphically, considering this is technically Moon,
Beats me if that other old
it
base
is fine.
functional.
Like, it
I'm
actually
afraid
looks
it's
like
just
Moon,
wishful
and
thinking.
you can see Earth in the distance. The general feeling of you being stranded on the Moon is pretty much there, but I mean, going from 9600K with 3070 Ti to 2K, 99K and 4070 Ti, it does feel a little bit odd that I'm getting these performance hitches and bugs, because these games, again, like the recommended CPU is a hex core, like we're talking 8 cores and 16 threads for 99K, and we're way above 2060 when it comes to GPU. So the game is running from NVMe drive, and as additional bonus I am running a relatively fresh Windows reinstall, because one of the components actually did manage to pack up during its life cycle, which unfortunately does happen, but that means everything is up to date, newest drivers, new hardware, everything's been working flawlessly. So I'm not taking a stab at the devs, but some things are a bit raising questions and concerns, because I was looking forward to this game, and so far it seems kind of good, but you can see those frame time spikes and there's literally nothing happening in the scene. Now granted, going with very high settings and, you know, like toggling the view distance specifically for an open world, well, semi-open world title, might be using a GPU to render further than I can actually see as a player, which might mean a lot of things, but then again,
it's like a problem with the battery. Yeah, it went off.
Look for the spare one. It's on the desk.
Got it.
And obviously this is a tutorial, so we're just learning how to swap things out so things keep on
Should work
working.
now.
Great. Let's turn the power on. Checked. Your next task will be...
You think Amy and Ben think I'm dead?
We lost contact with Earth 7 days ago, so it is highly possible. Yes.
What answer did I expect from a robot?
Next task, Sam.
Toby, mark the route to that old base. We're going for a ride.
It's too risky, Sam. I can't do that.
Yes, we can, and we will.
It's just us here. What are you gonna do, report me? Coordinates, now.
So the demo version actually started in this location without the gunfight in the beginning of the actual game. So essentially we're going for the moon rover and we're driving all the way over to the new base. And the thing is, like, when it comes to space adventure stories like this, it's usually a hit or miss. Either you nail the atmosphere of the game or you don't. Like, in terms of this game, I must say they probably picked the best location ever, like a barren wasteland of the moon surface, and you need to go and do a stuff and you're the only person there. Technically, I would want to say a lot of people can relate to this, but I mean, this is technically the finished product, and yeah, even now the game actually hicked up from 144 frames stable to 133, so you might think, oh, it's a loss of 10 frames. Then again, like, nothing really happened. I just moved an inch. So yeah, that's a different story altogether. I think that's my main concern here when it comes to it. So we do have a lab. We can do a lot of stuff here, which I think we're not gonna do. And the garage is, I think, this a big building over here, if I remember correctly. It's been a couple of years while I was actually, yeah, that's the rover, when I was playing this, and it wasn't too difficult, but I'm kind of a little bit more concerned about the performance rather than the gameplay. I know the gameplay is good, the story is good, like the Fort Solis itself, even as a linear adventure title, it did have its highs and lows, should I say. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Why it's still acting up pretty much like on a day one beta demo test
Toby,
that they
you there?
released.
I know you mean well. It's just, I can't do my job with everything else telling me we're gonna die here. We must do something.
And they did nail the gravity
I'm
down.
going to that base, with or without you.
You're gonna need a navigator.
Sure I am, pal. Time for a ride.
I'm connecting to your helmet software so you can share anything you see with me.
Parental control. Much appreciated. Rocky kept talking about the blue materials deposits in that old base. How come someone just left them there? And when?
The base became deserted in the 1970s. It's highly probable that the deposits just stood the test of time.
Rocky spent hours researching in those stations around. Poor guy. Hope he's already been provided with proper care.
At At least he gathered enough samples before he fell sick that we could activate the
As you
scanning
could have heard,
machines.
the voice line
I'll
literally
teach you
just went out of the volume.
Empathy? Why should I learn empathy?
So I think there's a little bit of a
So
polishing
tiny,
issue around the edges for this title, which
Statistically,
automatically
it is
marks
probable that
this
there are
game
other
for me that
civilizations looking at the moon right now, and
it
thinking
either
the
will
same.
get better or it's
Is
gonna
that a
stay in
part of your
exactly
fun
the same
fact
state it's
base,
currently in
Toby?
as a finished
Couldn't help my data
published
coding.
product.
It's so quiet around.
Is it playable?
Ben was
Yes.
cherish
Is the
every
performance
moment in
acceptable?
Now,
Negotiable.
anything to hear it laugh.
I mean,
Something tells me we're gonna find answers. in
after
that
playing the
place.
demo, I
I
was
don't
kind of
think our
hoping to
predecessors did.
see the
It's
finished
abandoned and
goods,
out of
but
order.
Have you ever tried to think
end
positive?
of the day, like, you know,
I
when you
thought so.
take a project of this size, I am willing to give the devs a benefit of the doubt. And this studio is not exactly known for money grabs, you know, like something that they just pump out and go like, oh, whoever buys it, you know, whatever
We're
happens to
crossing
them. But
unauthorized terrain.
yeah,
Slow
overall,
down.
I
it
have
is
no
a bit
idea what
odd.
they were
Now, the one thing I
researching
do enjoy is the physical, actual free roam. Like, you can do this. You can just drive around the surface of the moon, and you do have a pretty decent area to explore. You will be hitting certain places that are actually on the moon. If you look at the moon maps, like certain craters and stuff. And again, this is just a tutorial section. Like, you're just being kind of shoestringed from one location to another, so it's absolutely fine. Performance wise, as you can see, GPU is still being used 56%, 6.2 of video memory, 9.2 of RAM, and the frame time spikes are pretty much still present, so it is how it is. But yeah. And this is gonna be
Hear that,
our
Toby?
first encounter with the
Someone might be alive there.
rogue robot.
What the? What is this, Toby?
Wish I knew, Sam. Just shoot it dead.
It was supposed to be abandoned.
Are you okay, Sam?
I'm fine. What was that?
According to my data, it's some kind of advanced AI. It would probably attack us until it gets turned off.
Glad I did it.
I mean, visually the game does look pretty decent though. Like, it's not picture perfect, but you know, it's more along the lines like it could work. Like, the art style itself and, you know, the way it's being portrayed, I can't really blame it. I mean, the story itself kind of does give you a merit for it, but
What are these colored dots? What is that blue thing?
no need to find the code for the thing. This is blue, so that's 7. Then we need 4 digits around stuff. Let's see if
Sam.
we can figure it out real quick.
Check the computer. It's on.
Yeah, I need some numbers to activate this.
Find the missing code. Which essentially is just walking around finding the pieces of paper.
Looks exactly like that rope.
That's number 4.
I don't think I recognize.
3. And there's another picture here.
Looks like it's.
Red, blue, black, green. Red 4. Red, blue, so blue was 7. So it's 4, 7. 4, 7, 3, 5. Hey. 4, 7, 3,
Bingo.
5. There we go.
We landed on the moon in 1969. 10 years before, we discovered that someone else had already landed on the moon.
Toby, did you know about this?
I'm sorry, Sam. Now that you know, I can share a file with you.
Attention all units. This is General Patton speaking. We're under heavy attack. I repeat, we're under heavy attack. Unidentified flying objects keep bombarding the entire states. Oh dear God, the enemy is flooding all 7 continents. Run for your lives, people!
No, no! Amy! Where did you get that from?
I found my security systems abruptly unblocked. I am allowed to share the data now.
You're telling me you knew all that before and you kept it a secret?
It's the code, Sam. I technically couldn't have told a soul. My software is subordinate to the chief executive of the mission.
No, no! Come on. Toby, mark the route to that alien base, now.
And that's essentially how the game goes. Like you just go from a point A to point B. You get exposition of what's happening around. You kind of learn what's going on, and you need to find solutions to essentially kind of make it all better. And I think this is a pretty good place to end this. Now, there's a couple of reasons for it. Number one, the general game performance I do not believe is going to improve during the time of the gameplay, because based on the CPU usage I can tell you the game is not exactly loading in the full map. That goes from observation of the GPU usage as well. The VRAM is not exactly filling up, so that's not a memory leak. We're not pulling more RAM, and the frame time is still spiking in certain areas up and down. So this is more about either the engine coping with the current settings, which are very cranked up, and it might help to turn some of them down, specifically when it comes to the view distance, or even shadows, because everything in here is filled with shadows, and technically shadows is one of the most taxing things when it comes to open world titles. No matter the GPU, like this is the thing, like because the GPU needs to crunch the numbers together with the CPU to figure out which shading of which object actually hits the shadow, if it's a soft or hard shadow or trilinear, bilinear, or everything else in between. And this takes the most computing power of it. Even though you don't think it actually takes any resource of the GPU or CPU, it actually takes a massive amount of it. So maybe reducing the shadows or overall view distance could improve things, so you only render things that you can see in the view frame. But that's something I should be kind of experimenting off screen, so to say, because I will be playing this game. I want to play this game, so I will stream it on Twitch eventually. You can have a come a look, ask a question, what settings I'm using and what frames I'm getting. But so far, yeah. Generally, even with the vertical sync disabled and maximum frame rate uncapped in an NVIDIA control panel, we are kind of bound to refresh rate of the monitor, so probably you might actually get a stable 60 or stable 165, depends on your monitor setting. And maybe there's a mod to uncap it altogether or lock it in place. Honestly, I think locking it in place might perhaps help the matters, but considering the GPU usage is not actually hitting the ceiling, I don't think that's going to be the case. Also, as you can see, the CPU usage on the right hand side shows that we're not utilizing all the cores, we're only using some of them. So CPU 1, CPU 3, CPU 5, CPU 7, and 9, 11, everything else is a hyper-threading pipelines for the data. So it's not like it's even across all the cores and the hyper-threads, so take it with a pinch of salt. Outside of that, well, I'm still interested in the title. I think it's a pretty good storyline stuff. I will see if the aiming and suddenly looking into another direction while you're moving is a persistent issue. Maybe there's a fix for that. Could be just my mouse setting for the DPI. I do not know. It might play some tricks on certain game engines. But yeah, outside of that, that's all I have for you guys today. I think it's a good title. And yeah, I'll take it for a spin and we can all decide where we go with this. But yeah, until the next time, thanks for watching and over and out.